What if I told you that every single one of these cards has exactly one layer? No foam adhesive, no popped up embellishments, no tricks, no fuss, just cardstock and a few great techniques. They really make your eye feel like they're seeing something that's not even there. Let's dive in. All right, so I always work on a card panel 4 by 5¼ inches. I'm gonna grab 2 pieces of repositionable tape. Obviously unnecessarily long, that first one, and I'm gonna mark off a strip here. And this is one of my favorite layouts when it comes to one layer cards and cards in general. I'm gonna start off with some Bellini ink, and I am going to start from the top and work my way down. And then I'm gonna grab some Coral Cabana ink, and I'm gonna ink blend from the bottom up. Always ensuring that when I start to overlap the colors that I go back in with both ink pads just to make a smooth transition. Now, because we're going to be adding quite a few layers and textures onto this is very forgiving as far as ink blending goes, which is really nice. When it comes to one layer cards, they're beautiful as is. If I would have stopped here at ink blending, it's still gonna look great. But I love adding a ton of texture using a whole bunch of different techniques. So let's discover how to do that. I'm grabbing this splatter stencil here, going in with my darker Coral Cabana color, and I'm gonna ink and stencil over top of my colored strip here. This is going to add a nice pattern to my ink blending, and it's quite subtle, or it's relatively subtle because I'm using a color that I've already used in the background. So at the bottom, it's a lot more subtle. At the top, you can see it really well. So this is my absolute favorite part of masking or ink blending, is removing that tape and seeing that pop of color. It just becomes so vibrant against that white sharp border that we've just created, that straight line. I love it. And this is your friendly reminder to go wash your hands, because you probably have inky fingers and you don't want to get it all over that beautiful white cardstock you have. Next up, we're going to add an image to our card. However you choose to add your image is up to you, whether you want to stamp it, you want to use a better press plate, you want to use a hot foil plate. I've chosen a hot foil plate, but just know you can simply stamp something onto this and heat emboss it in gold if you want a similar look as to what I do. You don't need to have a hot foil machine. So I'm going to wait for my machine to warm up. In the meantime, I'm going to make a hinge. I'm going to place my card panel where I want it to go. I'm going to add a piece of tape and just flip it upwards so I can place it right in the same place as I had originally put it. I'm going to start the timer here, and my machine's going to flash. And when it's solid, my hot foil plate is going to be ready and hot enough to hot foil. I'm going to grab some gold foil now, and I am going to place this on top. I always have a little reminder on my machine that says shiny side down, so I know which way it goes. So we're going to put the pretty side down, and then we're going to flip our card panel back down. And then I'm just going to add the plates. So this is the plastic plate, and this is the almost like a cutting plate kind of thing. They come with the machine. And I'm just going to wait again for that to turn solid before it's ready to foil. You do need a die cutting machine for this that's compatible for the machine if hot foiling is something that you might want to try out, because it's going to you need to add pressure with hot foiling in order for it to work. So if I were to just take this off right now and not put it through my die cutting machine, nothing would actually happen to my cardstock. But by adding the pressure of the die cutting machine, it's going to push the foil down into the paper, through the plate, and then it's going to hot foil. As long as you're careful, I always keep my hand on the plate as it's going through. It's better that the plate or the base that it's on doesn't shake when you're putting it through the machine. So I run it forwards and backwards just to make sure it gets enough pressure. And then when I take off the foil, you're going to see here how lovely it looks. I've now created my stamp. And just a friendly reminder, just heat embossing on top in gold heat embossing is going to give you an extremely similar look. But I do love me some shine, so let's take a moment to look at that. And like I said, if you did heat embossing, you're going to get shine as well. It's just going to be a little bit more textured. Now I thought would be a good time to add my sentiment to my card, and I'm going to add this "Here for You" sentiment and stamp it on top. So now we've done so many techniques. We've done masking, ink blending, hot foiling, and stamping a sentiment on it, and this is all on one layer. And I personally love embellishments, things like sequins and pearls, but since we're keeping things one layer, I decided to grab that splatter sentiment again. And I feel like that sentiment that's in black needs some more black on the card in order to make it pop. So I thought it would be kind of cool to add some black splatter to the card, but I want it really controlled. So this stencil is perfect for that because I can just go in with a small brush and add little pieces of splatter wherever I see fit. And it's a lot more controlled than if I took some spray, for example, and then just sprayed it all over the place. All right, so next and lastly, I'm going to mount it on top of a card base. Like I said before, a one-layer card probably doesn't necessarily have a panel and a base, but I like to be on the safe side, work on a panel, and then add it to my base. I like that frame around it. It is what it is. So whether you call this a one-layer card or not is up to you, but overall, everything on the card panel is definitely one layer. So I finally finished everything, added some glue to the back, placing it onto my card base, and card number 1 is all finished. I absolutely love it. So many techniques on one card, so much texture and layers, and so much fun to create. And like I said, it looks super simple and at the same time really complicated and dimensional. All right, so now you can see a final look at the card that we just created and all the texture. Card number 2 is the card on the right. It's one of my favorite cards to create, and that is creating a scene in front of a nesting die or some sort of shape, like a square, circle, rectangle, any sort of shape you can find in your stash. It makes for such fun cards. Now what I'm doing here is I couldn't find my masking paper, so I'm actually grabbing just a piece of copy paper from my printer, and I have cut it down to fit my die cutting machine size, and I'm cutting a circle out of it. The hardest part I find when it comes to creating these types of cards is centering your masking paper, or if you're using copy paper like myself, is centering it on your cardstock. And this is where copy paper can really come in handy because it's so thin, I can see my card panel behind it, so it's really easy for me to center it. I actually find this better than using masking paper because of that particular purpose. Not to mention that when I'm using masking paper and I'm removing the adhesive background, yes, it's nice because it stays in place, but it's also really hard because it's sticky to get it in the right position. So here I'm able to move the copy paper all around until I have it centered, and I'm going to adhere it in place, or I'm just going to add some little masking tape here, mint tape, to my surface, and now we have a circle. That being said, because this is copy paper and because it's thin, I wouldn't recommend using this particular piece of paper over and over again for cards. In my experience, it does hold up for an ink blend on a card, but it probably will not hold up on a ton of layers. All right, so one of the things that you can do, aside from ink blending, you could ink blend like we did the last card and create your little scene like that, but I'm going to use some layering stencils today, and I'm going to be using this Whispers on a Canopy. This is a really beautiful stencil, but I'm not gonna lie, it's not the easiest stencil to line up. So if you're someone who gets super frustrated with lining things up, I wouldn't recommend this stencil. So regardless of the layering stencil that you are using, just go ahead and create your scene. And what's cool about the copy paper that we're using is it's protecting your entire card aside from that particular circle. Feel free to use any shape as well. Use an arch, a rectangle, a circle, a square, anything like that, diamond even. All the shapes are going to give you beautiful different looks, and if you ever wanted to create them in bulk, you could also use different shapes to get different designs, and that's a really fun way to create a little note card set as well. And I love layering stencils personally, whether they're standalone or they're used for coloring in a stamp, because it just gives you so much dimension. So you can see just how much depth is in that particular scene, and it's so gorgeous. I love it. And if this was not a one layer card video, I'd probably place some sort of sentiment strip in the center that I had die cut, but because I'm sticking to one layer, I'm just gonna put a sentiment underneath the circle and let the circle be the focal point and the star of the show. So once again, just placing this onto my card base, and it's all finished. All right, here's a last look at card number 2 with all that dimension before we move on to card number 3. So for card number 3, I'm going to grab a piece of copy paper again because I can't find my masking paper, and I'm just going to tear it. And I'm purposely going to tear it not straight, but with some curvy, fun lines. I am going to do some stamping, so I'm going to put this into my MISTI. I'm going to grab my card panel, which I have a piece of tape to kind of just secure it in place. I'm going to grab my masking paper here, or my copy paper rather, and then I'm going to put the stamp here on the side. Now I am only going to be working on this left half of the card while leaving the right half to be completely white, because that's going to really create that contrast and make it super beautiful, dimensional, and textured. Now that I have the flower stamped on my card itself, I'm going to grab another piece of copy paper, or the other half rather, and I'm going to create a mask for this. So what that means is I'm simply going to trim it with my scissors, and I'm going to cut directly on the black line. I'm not going to bother with the stem or anything, just the actual petals itself. Once that is all finished, I'm going to grab my card, I'm going to grab this masking panel again, and now I'm just going to work on my regular surface. So I'm just going to line everything kind of back up. And this is where, if you were using masking paper, it would be stuck to your card panel and you wouldn't have to worry about that. And same with this, you would peel the backing off, stick the masking paper on top. But again, I'm using some copy paper. Now what this does is it acts as a protector for my stamp. So my stamp is going to stay that stark white. I'm going to go with some glacier ink, and I'm going to ink blend over my entire card panel now. And if you had masking paper, like I said, you wouldn't have to be so careful holding it down with your finger like this. It wouldn't pop up on you like this. But copy paper is a great alternative. If you can't find your masking paper, or if you don't own any, it's a great alternative. Another great thing to use is Post-it notes. You could use those too, as they have a little bit of stick on them. So now I'm removing the mask from my flower, and you can see it is stayed completely white. I find it so funny to watch this back on camera video. I'm just going to dry this background in the meantime, because I'm going to do some heat embossing on top. But I find it funny because the ink blending looks terrible on screen, but when I look at it in real life, it's quite smooth. So that's really interesting to see what the camera does. And just so you know too, if your ink blending looks terrible, give it a couple of hours. It seeps into the cardstock, it will lighten up a bit, and it will even out. Not to say that you won't get any streaks, but it's not going to look as blotchy as it does when you first originally do it. Now I'm grabbing this text stamp here. Now make sure it's the right side up. I accidentally just stamped this upside down. And I'm going to just add little bits here to the background, and just again adding more texture, more dimension to the card. I'm now going to grab some white embossing powder, and this is why I dried my ink blending before, because I'm going to add some embossing powder on top, and I don't want it sticking all over the background. I only want it sticking to my stamping. And I'm going to grab my heat tool once again, this time on setting 2, except setting 1 is used for drying, setting 2 is used for heat embossing, and I'm going to melt that powder. Again, a friendly reminder, if you have inky fingers, to wash your hands, because you're going to get fingerprints all over that white, and that white is what makes the card. Okay, so it really makes that color contrast, and when you get a fingerprint on that, it's not the end of the world, but it definitely is very, very noticeable. I'm going to stamp my sentiment now on the right-hand side of the card, and I'm just going to make sure that it stamps properly, obviously, and sometimes you need to move your magnet. I'm not using a magnet that was made for the MISTI, so that's why it's a little too thick. So this says you are stronger than you know, and I think it's just such a beautiful card. I am going to add another sentiment to it. This is tough. This is a really beautiful, unique sentiment stamp from Christina Warner from Concord and Ninth. It has such beautiful sayings. I love how it has the script and the regular print font. And they're just generally sentiments you don't find on your everyday stamp set. So I really love that. So let's take a final look at this card here, and you can really see the contrast between the two colors. Now, if you loved these 3 cards, you're going to want to meet me over here in this video, because layering stamps give you the same look like layering stencils, dimension without all the bulk. So meet me over here for 10 extremely amazing layering hacks that you need to know if you're going to be using layering stamps. I'll see you over there.